Hello everyone, welcome to day 7 of 30-day challenge of learning Tableau from scratch. And in today's video, we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic. But before that, let us take a quick recap of what we have discussed in our previous day. Okay, so in our previous session or previous day, we have covered from a very interesting concept that is about physical layer and logical layer. We have observed how we are getting the data, and then we have also seen blending concept in Tableau. So when we are bringing in the data from a same data source, we will use the concept of join. But whereas when we are bringing in a data from different data sources, then we will use the concept of blending here. Okay, so this is something that is very important for us to remember, like a concept wise how we are getting, what should be the limitation, or what should be the condition to bring in the data from multiple tables or multiple data sources. That is something that we need to have answers before we start preparing or blending or joining the data. Okay, so try to get these answers before you actually hop onto the task. That is something that I would encourage. Now let us start today's video, and while doing so, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And here we go. So what I'm doing is I'm connecting to the file that we have created as a first part, like right, sample text file. If you remember, I'm connecting to the same file here. Okay. So and let us also open this so that it is easy for us to see what we have in the data. So this is my file. Okay, and I'm going to Tableau and I'm connecting to that first step. Now this is our data preparation layer on which we are spending so much of time. Like say from initial days, we are still here only. We didn't step into Tableau or create views. We are still in preparation layer only. Okay, so as a data analyst or as a data visualization expert or as a Tableau developer, you will spend at least 25 to 30% of your effort in preparing your data. This is something that you need to keep in mind. So unless and until you make sure that the data that you have is consistent, the data that you have is correct, the data that you have is validated, we cannot go ahead and start creating visualization. Because for the first step for us is to have the right data, right tables, quality data, and then start preparing your data. Use whatever the logics that you want, whatever the joins you want, the blending you want, all of that we can do it here. Okay, so once we feel our data is ready, then we can go ahead and we can create our visualization and all. So that's why data preparation is very important from a developer's perspective also. Now, there is some unique feature that is available only in Tableau that we need to remember. That is how Tableau allows us to connect to data. Okay, so remember this, how Tableau allows us to connect to data. So I think this feature came in when Tableau was 7.1 or 7.2, or I think it was 8.1. During that, versions of Tableau they introduced, and it was a game changer technology for the reporting thing here in this Tableau, after which Tableau became very popular. Okay, and then I think after Tableau 9 or 10, when it changed the interface completely, we it got in more user friendly thing and all, then there was no turning back for that. So if you see on the top right side, you have an option called as a connection. So Tableau allows us to connect to data in two ways, that is live connection and extract connection. So remember this always. So live connection and extract connection. So Tableau allows us to connect to data in two ways, that is live connection and extract connection. Now we might get doubt what is live connection and extract connection. Live connection is like real-time data. So whenever there is a change in data, that data will be reflected right on your dashboard. Okay, so like you can take the example of our stock prices. As and when there is a change in the price is reflected on the stock, right? So that is real time data. If client is insisting that he wants a real time data, then we can go for a live connection. Now again, this can be chosen based on some properties, like say that we discussed. One is volume of data and requirement of the client. Okay, so if volume is less, we can go ahead and you can use live connection. But if volume is huge, then it is always recommended that we go for an extract connection. Okay, now volume of data is a very critical concept here. So for me, I will say 10 records are huge in volume. You might say 1 lakh is very less in volume. It depends on how we are thinking. So that is why when you are thinking on this line, it is also check with the client also, how much of real time data is he expecting. Okay, so based on that, you can decide whether you want a live connection or an extract connection. Because remember one point here, the performance of Tableau is directly dependent on performance of your data source. Which means if our data source itself is giving us the result slow, then Tableau will get that result slow. If it is fast, it will be fast. Okay, so try to remember this point and this point. And extract connection is a copy of data taken at a particular point of time. Okay, a copy of data or a snapshot of data taken at a particular point of time. Example, I would say, are banking transactions. So if at all I want to find out how many, what is, suppose bank is opening today, okay, at 9:30 a.m. it opened. So when it opened, it said it had 100 crores in its bank. Okay, so if at all I want to know how much of the how much balance does it have, then I have to wait until it closes for that particular day, right? So before that, I'm trying to bring in the data. It is an incomplete data for us, right? So that is, if I need complete data, I'll go around 3:30 p.m. and then I'll check, okay, what is the balance we have. It will say 500 CR. So now what is happening here? This is the complete set of information. If I go in the middle, we might have 12 o'clock. If I am trying to visit the bank and ask, he will tell that, the number of transactions that we have for the day are incomplete and we might not be able to provide you the accurate results, right? But this will become only complete when we take the data again after a particular time. Okay, so this point you need to remember, that is the major difference between this live connection and extract connection. So generally, when we have a very huge data or the volume of data is very huge, client is okay to have a little lag in the report or the data, then it is always encouraged or recommended to use extract connection because it improves the performance of your Tableau. Okay, now let us try to understand why we are saying that extract connection the performance is better and all. I'll try to show you pictorially as well. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to Tableau sheet here, the file one that we have connected. I'm just taking my name here and I'm also trying to add sibling here. Okay, so we got some records. Fine. Now see here we have Alex, Captain Shannon, Tony, and Tracy. Fine. I am going back to the file here, this file one. Okay. Which means at this point of time, we have 6 records here. Okay. How am I telling I got 6 records here? You see, at this point of time, Tableau is trying to read 6 marks. This tells you how many data points Tableau is trying to read. Okay. I'm going to that file where we have this. and see here. Okay, so here we have. Now I'm trying to add one more record to this, and I'll say I've just saved it. Okay, and maybe I'll add two records. Okay, so we have added two records to our existing records, and I'm simply going to my Tableau here, and let us check what is the connection type here. We are connected to data as a live connection here, observe. Okay, so which means as and when there is a change in data, it should reflect here. Now I'm just trying to bring in the data, or I'll simply right click on this and click on refresh. We got those two records, you see here. Okay, so as and when there is a change in data, it got reflected. Now what I'm doing is I'm going back to my data source again, the connection type. This time what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to convert the connection type to extract. So now what happens when I do that? Whatever the data is there at this point of time, Tableau is creating a snapshot of that, or it is creating a copy of that data. How can I tell that? Okay, if I now after converting this into extract, if I go to sheet 1, Tableau is asking me to save that file. See here, I'll go to the folder that we have all the files, and here I'll try to write it as extract the file. Okay, so now see here, this is in a Tableau format. Okay, so I'm trying to save it as this, and now whatever the records were there at this point of time all got copied and it is saved. Now see here, the database symbol also changed. Earlier we had a single cylinder here, now we have multiple cylinder here. Okay, which also shows that it is an extract connection. Now what I'm doing is same approach I'm trying to do. I'm trying to add one more entry here. So okay, so I've added two more entries here, this two. Okay, I'm saving it, but I'm trying to do the same step here. Right click on this and refresh, but you see nothing is happening here. Let us try to see what is happening pictorially. So I'll try to open Paint for you, and I'll try to make it easy so that you understand here. Okay, so I'm dividing the screen into two parts so that it is easy, or we can create two things here. Okay, so assume this is our Tableau desktop. Okay, and same thing here, and assume this is our data source. Okay, the same thing here also, this is the data source. Now in live connection, what is happening? You are directly connecting to this data source. Okay, so as and when there is a change in data, Tableau will hit that data source, bring in the result, and it will store back in the, or bring it back in the Tableau. Okay, so that is what is happening here. Okay, so that is, so this connection is always active in the Tableau. Okay, so it tries to keep checking, if there is any data or not, if there is data or not, like that. So as and when it is there, it will be bringing it into Tableau. But in extract connection, what is happening? So first, Tableau will connect to the data source that is there, and from there it will create a copy of data at a point you are taking. Okay, this is the snapshot of the data that it has created, and to this snapshot we are directly connected. This point you need to understand. Okay, how are we connecting? So that is why in our live connection, when we simply refreshed this, we got the latest record. But now even when we are in extract connection, what are we trying to do? We are trying to refresh this connection only, right? But how are we technically connected? We are connected from here, right? So what do we need to do? So we need to refresh this connection, right? So when we refresh this connection, what will happen? Again, this extract will go to the data source to check if there are any new records or not. If they are there, again, it will bring and load it into Tableau or the copy of the file that it has created. That is when you will see the record in your Tableau or the latest record. Okay, so that is the extract connection here. Now if I right click on this, okay, you see there are certain option: extract data, use extract, or extract. Okay, now we are using an extract, that is why there is a tick mark on that. I'll go to the extract option and I'll click on refresh. Now you see when I'm doing that, I'm getting a pop-up saying the entire contents of the extract will be refreshed or replaced during the extract refresh. So this is something that we need to understand what is happening during the extract. So your complete or the entire contents of the file will be replaced with the new file. So I'm going to click on yes. Now you see we got those two records also. Okay, that way the extract works. So extract is always faster compared to live. How? So I have a small description to that. uh, Now suppose this is Tableau, right? So this is Tableau and this is a different data source. It can be your text file or it can be your SQL and all. What is happening here when you are trying to connect to this data source? So Tableau is going out of its native language, trying to read the data that is coming from a different language. So how is it doing? By establishing the ODBC connection. So when it is invoking that ODBC connection, it is able to read the data from that particular file. It is able to read the data from that particular data source. So and it is able to get it back into Tableau and it is showing. Simple example, I'm trying to communicate with you in English language, even though my mother tongue is Hindi, Telugu, or whatever. But so what did I do? I have established a ODBC connection called as English, and using that, I'm trying to communicate you with you. Or when you are trying to understand, you are reading the data in English language, but you are understanding the data in your mother tongue, right? Or whatever the language that we goes in our mind or heart, like that. So that is the ODBC connection. If I give you a very generic example for that. So now in extract connection, what is happening? For the first time when you are connecting the data, it is invoking those ODBC connections and reading the data. But when it is storing the data, it is storing the data in Tableau format only. So always Tableau to Tableau will always be faster. Okay, so that is why they tell that okay, Tableau extract connections are always faster, because when Tableau is saving the results in extract format, it exactly knows how it has stored that data. And when it is trying to read that data next time, it effectively retrieves the data. So that is something that you need to understand behind what is happening behind this live and extract connection. Okay, I hope this gave you some clarity, okay, on live and extract connection. And now again, I'm going back. So we got this records. So again, I can, if at all I want to change it to live, I can right click on this. I can uncheck this. It becomes your live, or I can click on this and I can say use extract. It will become extract. That is because we have already created an extract, and this extract file is available in our local machine. Tableau is able to recognize that. If it does not recognize it, it might not work. So first you have to create an extract, and Tableau has to locate that extract. And if it is able to find that, it is fine, automatically it will connect. If it does not, it will give you a pop-up that you need to show where that file is. Okay. Now again, there are certain properties to this extract file that we need to understand. Now again, if I'm clicking on extract data, so we are getting some properties here. So that we need to remember. Okay. So first thing is, if at all you want to add some filters here, you can directly do that. So you can click on add and select the field on which you want to add a filter, and then you can click on OK. So you'll get all of the data that is there in that particular field, and you can select whatever you want, or you can directly select all or none, and then you can click on OK, and based on that it will try to pull the data, which means what, you are trying to limit the data when you are creating your extract. Suppose 100 records are there in the actual file, but when you are creating this extract file, you are only pulling 50 records of that by putting some conditions like that. Okay, so that is the first option here. Okay, filter option. Next is aggregating data for visible dimension. So this is again very important. So to show you again the example of this, what I'm doing is I'm trying to connect it to our sample superstore here, and maybe I'll make extract for that. Okay, I'm just changing this, or let us keep it like this. Okay, so we have created extract for that. I'll go back. Again, it is asking me to save that file. I'll save it as extract. Okay, and then again, if I go back, so we have the data. I'll just simply take order date and right click on this extract data, aggregate data for visible dimensions. Now, if I click on this roll up to dates, so in real time, we might have data which is a transactional data, like say it can be which we can sum up, like say everyday transactions are there. So if I want to find out what is the total salary, okay, so I can, or the total expenditure I have made in a month, I'll simply do sum of expenditure for last 1 month, right? So that is, instead of 30 records, we are giving only one record here. So example, suppose every day I'm making 10 expenditure, I have made 10 today. Again, tomorrow I've made 20. Again, again I have made 10. So if at all I want, so three entries are there. If I'm interested in finding what I'm doing with this 10, so there will be a separate entry, like say with this 10, I've purchased, maybe I've purchased Coke here, example. Okay. So with this 20, maybe I've purchased a pen here. And again with this 10, maybe I've purchased pencil here, example. Okay, now these are the list of expenditure that I have made, and these are the list of products on which I have spent my money. If I want to find out how much of total expenditure I have made till day, I'll simply make sum of expenditure, and I'll get simply 40 here. So per person, how much of expenditure he is doing in a month. So I just need that. I am not interested in finding out on which he is spending. Maybe that would be a different record. If at all you want to do aggregations like this, and where you want to convert your transactional system into a summary data, you can directly go here and convert that using this option roll up to dates. At which level you want, a day level, month level, quarter level, or year level. If there are multiple entries in a day, all that will be aggregated at a day level, or at a month level. All the transactions of 30 days will be aggregated at a month level, like that. So you need to decide, what is that, you need. If you don't need it, fine. You can simply uncheck and you can use extract normally. Okay. So next option is number of rows here. Okay. Like I said, it is, you have an option of using all rows here. So when Tableau is trying to refresh the data, it is giving as an option that it is trying to replace the data, right? But suppose if the volume of data is very huge, So every day, creating those number of millions of records or a file with those number of records will be trouble to Tableau as well, right? So we have to be very considerate about this here. So we don't want Tableau to suffer because of us. So we can choose incremental refresh here. So incremental refresh means what? We are telling Tableau how to identify new records here. Okay, so like what is the column that it has to consider and all, and based on that, it will see if there are any new records or not. If it finds new records are available, it will bring in that. So mostly you can use a primary key column type data or your date dimensions. You can use it for this type of field. So that's why first you can select what is the table to refresh, whether it is orders, peoples or returns. Because I have multiple tables in my view, it is giving me the list. It will also be same with you. You can choose I want it from orders table, and I can specify what is the column I want. So it is an order date, postal code, quantity or ship date, whatever you want, you can give it here. I am giving order date. So based on date I want to specify, then I can simply click on uh, 1 second. I can simply click on this extract connection and it will automatically refresh. So it went beyond the page actually. Mm, Right click extract data here. Okay. Incremental refresh, and you can simply choose the field from here. And then you can just click on the extract option at the bottom that you have seen, and then it will automatically refresh this option. After selecting this, you can select this. Next is a top. So if at all you need, only top records every time, then you can use a top. How many rows of data you need, then you can do that. Or suppose you need sample data, then you can also click on the sample. You either need it by rows or by percentage, you can do it both. Okay, so you can select this as well. So this is the sample you can use maybe for your learning purpose, where you want to limit the data by percentage, but other two are conditional based on how you are getting the data or what is the requirement in the project. You can choose that. Okay, so if you don't want any of this, you can simply uncheck and click on all rows. Okay, so it all depends on situation to situation and scenario to scenario, but just remember what are the different options we got. Okay, so once you do that and when you click on extract, data will be automatically extracted. That's it. Okay, again I'm going back to that extract data, and again I'm just clicking on history here to see what is that it has. So when I click on that history, it will show me when was the last refresh done, was it what type of refresh it was, how many records it fetched. Okay, and what is the source. All of that information it is trying to give us, so that we understand when did this happen. So suppose sometimes someone is asking you when was the, can you find out when was the last refresh done on this. So you can always go back to this page and check when was the refresh done, so that how things work. So this is about your extract connection. I'm clicking on cancel, but I'm also going to data source page and I'm also clicking on edit option here. Same option we'll get here. Okay. So you can either click from here or you can do it from here. Okay. Again, so I'm clicking on this. So now we know what is extract data. We know use extract. I'm going to extract. We have seen refresh option, but if at all again you want to append the data from file, you can append it. Like say I'm using this. Okay, you go here. Now you see append the data from file. So I can choose what is the file I want to file to. Okay, so columns are not present. So it is not matching. Actually, the data set is not matching. So if it finds that, maybe we'll try to do it the same here. Okay, I'll try to extract, append data. I'll use file to. Here also it is not matching. So your file structure should be same when you're trying to do that. Okay. So extract again, refresh, we know, append data, we know, compute calculations. Now we will see that later. History, same thing that it will show. We have seen it, it will show. And what else we got here? Properties. So under properties, it will tell you, you know, what is the database and all that information it is. But see here, observe hyper. Type is hyper. Hyper is the technology of Tableau with which you are able to visualize the data, with which you are able to, you know, perform all of your tasks efficiently. You know, all the engine behind a Tableau is Hyper. Okay, so we have discussed about this live connection, extract connection, all of that. So behind the scenes, it is your Hyper that is working and it is bringing in the results for us. Okay, so with that said, I think, you know, that's it from my side for today. I hope you have found today's video very useful. If it does, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to give a comment so that it reaches a wider audience. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, and have a good day.